Welcome back. In this video, we're going to apply what we learned about sum and auto sum in the previous video, and then we're going to move on and talk about the average function. So here we have our summary statistics. We want to know what is our total house cost for loans outstanding. So our house cost is in the range of B8 through B12. So I need the sum function since I'm doing a total. So I'm going to type in equal sum, just like we learned in the other video. And I'm actually going to use the double click where I'm going to double click it off the list here so that it does the sum in the left paren. And now I want to use my mouse and I want to highlight the range of B8 through B12. So I got my fat plus sign in the middle of the cell and I'm going to drag to highlight the range of B8 through B12. And then I'm going to do right paren and I'm going to hit enter. Okay, and that has calculated my total house cost at $1,823,100. Now, for my down payment, which is in the range of C8 through C12, instead of doing the sum function, I'm going to use auto sum, which we learned about in the previous video. I'm going to go up to auto sum and I'm going to pick sum. And when I do this, I notice that this whole area becomes highlighted, and that's more than what I want. But I see it's built the sum part for me, and right now it's just waiting to, it has the range part highlighted. What range do you want? So I'm going to go up to C8 and my fat plus sign in the middle of the cell, and I'm just going to highlight C8 through C12 because that's the range that I want it to sum up. And then I'm just going to hit the enter key. Okay, so I see that now I have a total, my function is equal sum C8 through C12, which is exactly what I want. Okay, so here I used, I built the sum function myself. Here I used auto sum. For amount financed, I know that this formula is C8 through C12. Given relative cell referencing, which we learned in a previous video, if I copy this to the right, what's going to happen is my column reference is going to change. So C is going to increase by 1. So C is going to become D, right? So it's going to be equal sum D8 through D12, which is exactly what I want because D8 through D12 is my amount financed range. So I can just simply come down here, skinny little plus sign is fill, and I'm going to fill it across. So just keep that in mind. Remember that highlighting a range is the fat plus sign, right? And the skinny plus sign is the bottom right corner of the cell. All right, so here we just built the sum function ourselves. Here we used auto sum, and then this one I just filled it across. Did I have to do each one differently? No, I could have picked one and then filled it across. Okay, so now let's go to the average function. You're all familiar with averages because you have grades as students. Your grades are averaged all the time, okay? Basically what happens is it's sort of like taking the sum and dividing it by however many there are, but with an average function, Excel does that for you automatically. Remember that every function always starts with an equal sign, always has the name of the function, has the left parenthesis, the range that it needs to average or range that it needs to perform the work on, and then a right parenthesis, and then you hit enter. Okay, so let's actually, it is really called the average function. So I'm going to do equal and then average, and I notice that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different average functions. I'm telling you it's the average function, but if you weren't sure, if you were to click on it, it actually gives you a description of it. Okay, I'm going to double click it so that it fills in for me. So it fills in average and left paren, and now it's waiting for me to highlight the range. So this is the average for the house cost. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to highlight using my middle of the cell there with a big white. I'm going to drag down and then right parenthesis and enter. Okay. So the average function is also available under auto sum. So I'm going to auto sum this one and I'm going to go to average. Notice what it does, right? Average, it thinks I just want to average C16. This is what I was talking about in the previous video, that auto average or auto sum doesn't always grab what you want it to grab. But you can tell it now that, hey, I want it to grab C8 through C12. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to highlight the range C8 through C12. And I verify equal average C8 through C12 is my down payment. And I hit enter and boom. Okay, and for this last one, I am going to fill across. So I'm making this more complicated than it needs to be, right? Because watch, I'm going to do this in like 2 seconds. I'm going to delete this. So I could come here and I could just type in what I want, equal sum, and I could highlight my range, right paren and enter, and then I could just choose to fill it across. So skinny little plus sign and I drag across, And this one I could have typed equal average, left paren, highlighted the range for house cost, hit enter, and then clicked here and filled it across. And, that would work as well. So I use different methods, but just know that you don't have to do that. Okay, obviously you need to use whatever method simulation tells you to, but when you get out to the real world, once you know what function you want, you just go with it. Okay. One thing I kind of want to say at this point in time is really and truly, there are over 500 functions available in Excel. And nobody knows them all. Not even the people at Excel know all of the functions. Because if you think about it, they have, hundreds and hundreds of employees, and they're all working on their own separate functions. And so you just need to know where to find the functions that you're looking for. And if you go to the Formulas tab, you'll see that you actually have this insert function. And that's where you can search for different functions. And you also see how each function is broken down into different categories. So they have some for financial, some for logical, some for text, some for date and time. And if you move your mouse pointer over to them, you'll see that they actually give you a little description of what each function does. Okay, and each function takes different arguments. So far, we've only dealt with each function needing one range. But when we get into more advanced functions in a little bit, you're going to see that they require some of them require more than one argument. So we will be looking at that in a future video. So it's just something I sort of encourage you to play with. You could click on any blank cell here, go to insert function, and you'll see that they're broken up into different categories, but you could type a brief description of what type of function you're looking for. So if you are if you're taking a stats class, there's statistical functions. If you're taking an engineering class, there's engineering functions. There's just if you're taking any kind of finance or accounting class, there's lots of financial functions available to you. So I just kind of wanted to point that out. All right, see you in the next video.